Want to start the meeting?
So give me feedback if you need.
If you don't want to start the meeting, you can go. I mean, never mind. How is everybody tonight? All right?
Awesome.
All right. I haven't done this in months and months. So, if I mess it up, just forgive me or live with it,
You're going to do great.
You're great.
You're a natural, Thomas. You're a natural.
Well, thank you, guys. Okay, let's see. What's on the usual agenda? 6 o'clock. It's about 6-ish.
Yeah, it is.
So let's do announcements now. We can do announcements later too. So just for everyone's benefit, we are going to have our second meeting of the month 2 weeks from tonight. 2 weeks and a day from tonight. It's going to be on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on the, what date is that, somebody? 27th.
27, yep.
27th of this month, of course. And that'll be show and tell. Today I have a lecture continuing the lecture I did a few months ago on chatbots, programming a chatbot. I'm going to give you a few more tags and a demo and then answer some questions. It's not going to be a long lecture unless I get a lot of questions. Working on getting the guy from Roomba Robotics to give a talk for next time around. Anybody want to hear from the Roomba company?
Oh, yeah.
I could use a couple of them.
Yeah, yeah, he gave a talk for the HP Robotics Club, and I grabbed his name and contact information, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, so you saw him at one of those? I haven't been attending those. He was at one of them, or he was.
Yeah, it was good too. I got to ask a lot of questions, and he gave a live demo. It was great.
So that's probably recorded and up on the Homebrew Robotics site for anybody.
I think so.
I gotta watch that.
All right. Let's see. Yeah. Any other announcements, guys? Shout out if you have an announcement. I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine who just joined us. He's new to the group. That's his name is Olivia, except that's his daughter's name. Mr. John over there. He's one of my work buddies. Hello, Avner is his name.
Howdy y'all.
Hey.
All right. Gosh. So anything, do we do the business meeting now or later, guys? I forget. I have no itinerary.
Usually the business is now, if anybody has any. I mean, for your club, I mean, it's your clubs this time, I guess.
Okay, for Riverside Club, we're going to collect dues. I will announce that on the club mailing list, just to help out with the meetup group. We're way behind on paying that. Alan, I'll get the checks to you one way or another. Alan is the vice president, by the way, of the Riverside Robotics Society, and
I'm the treasurer.
nobody else here is from our, well, Buzz is, yes. Hello, Buzz and Linda.
Can you guys hear us?
Hear you just fine, guys,
Yes.
ladies. All right.
So, before you get started, I would like to remind everybody that this Sunday is Pi Day.
Ooh, 3.14.
Here you go.
A very important day, especially if you're into circles. Anybody into circles?
Well, speaking of
They're
pi,
going around in
does
circles.
anybody know why the triangle ignored a circle?
Why did the
It was
triangle ignore a
pointless.
circle?
I think our lives are going around in circles these days.
Certainly feels like it, doesn't it?
I was gonna say because it was square.
That one kind of might work. Oh, and well, we're gonna do my lecture, which is gonna be 30 minutes plus or minus, and then we're gonna do a show and tell. And on the second week, it's gonna be all show and tell. So it'll be a little bit of show and tell. If we don't get to you today, 2 weeks and a day from now, you can have your chance doing show and tell. All right, everybody? But that smile, you've been holding that smile for the last 15 minutes. How do you do that, Ben?
I'm eating. That's what I was.
Oh, all right. And he's saying it without even moving his lips. There he is. He's in the
There.
car. Hello, Ben.
My car wash. That's right.
In the car wash, yeah.
It's always good.
We don't need a car wash. We got rain out here in Riverside.
Perfect.
We had thunderstorms. Anyway,
We had hail.
Hail. The gang's all here. Yes. Wow, hail. Cool. That's good. It's cold. Okay. Oh, Jim has a demo to give later. Cool. Excellent. If you have something to show off, please put it in the chat so we don't forget. And if we do forget, say your name. Say, I've got something to show. Otherwise, we may leave you out because I might not see it. My daughter says I can't do things that are straight in front of me. That's the problem.
I got my battle kit finally.
You got what?
Battle kit, which is like the fancy version of the OpenCat.
Oh, yo, I want to see that. That's cool.
I started building it. There was some issues with some of the drivers, so I had to solve that kind of stuff. I figured it out earlier today, but that's where I'm at.
All right, cool. Excuse me a second. I got to close my door. It's getting a little noisy on my end. All right, I'm back. So let's start the lecture. I got permission to share, right, Alan?
Yeah, you should be able to do that.
Okay.
Alan, you look so serious.
Why so serious?
If I cough in the middle of a lecture, I don't have COVID. I just have a tickle in my throat. Allergies, I guess.
I had COVID and I didn't have a cough.
Oh,
Wow.
really? No.
My
Is that
wife
good or
died.
bad? Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
She died in February.
Very sorry to hear that.
Me too. I survived because I took hydrochloroquine and she didn't.
Did you mean hydroxychloroquine?
Yeah. The moment I took it, I started getting better. I didn't give it to my wife because she was taking a Aubagio, which is an MS medication. They sent her home from the hospital paralyzed. It paralyzed everything. When everything was wrong in her body, it attacked.
That's terrible.
Anyways,
I'm
sorry
to
about
hear
that. Thank
All
you.
right, is everybody ready to start then? Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is building an AI chatbot. With or without a robot. And I'm Thomas Messerschmidt. At least last time I checked. This is part 3. If you miss the other parts, we have them on video, don't we, guys?
Yeah, we should.
We should. All right, I'll take that as a yes. Okay, moving right along. Hi. Okay, a brief review. I know it's been November since we talked about this stuff. November. So I'm going to jog your memory here. And if I repeat some things that I said before, just remember, reviewing things makes it stick better in your head. Now, let's talk about the Alice chatbot. What we're doing here is based on the Alice chatbot. But an AI chatbot, a chatbot gives your robot a personality. I mean, sure, your robot can move around in a room and maybe find a dirty sock or maybe find a doorway, but can it, you know, can you say, get me a beer, and can it respond, what, are you crazy? No way, Jose. You know, that's what a chatbot can do for you. It can give your robot a personality. You can have it say, you know, robot, turn on the lights, and it could say to you, okay, sweetie, and things like that. ALICE stands for the Artificial Linguistic Computer Entity. The original ALICE and the ones you're going to see all over the internet, the samples, are based on a internet entity. Everything that she says will assume she is on the internet without any corporal presence, no body, that is. That was half the battle when I was writing it for my robot. I had to make so many changes because you'd say, well, you have a nice smile, and she'd respond, I have no mouth. Things like that. ALICE is written in Java, and it's configured, or some people say programmed, in a markup language called AIML, the Artificial Intelligence Markup Language. It was created by a man named Dr. Richard Wallace in 1995. It has won the Loebner Prize, the most human-like chatbot, but it can't pass the Turing test. And you can see it's really ridiculously easy to fool this thing and get it stuck. It uses AIML, and AIML is very simple to learn. The version 1 only has, about 15 tags. So while it's not powerful, it's simple. Remember, you can't have simple and powerful in the same sentence. It's either very powerful or very simple. It's open source. It can be run locally or in the cloud on pandorabots.com. Note that down, everybody. Can somebody put that in the chat, please? Pandorabots.com, because that's where you can play with this or download a copy of it. Also on Cynthium.com, you can find a copy of it. It's within the ARC software, ARC. Can somebody find that link for ARC to download a free copy of ARC from Cynthium? Sure. Thank you, Jim. Jim, you did that, right? You downloaded it from Cynthium.
Yeah, I usually play along when you're talking and run it.
Oh, cool.
But in the past.
All right. It's been around over 25 years, and it has lots and lots of examples and tutorials and sample personalities. And, you know, it has rude ones and happy ones and young ones and stupid ones. And I saw one that was based on Captain Kirk. It was called the Fake Captain Kirk. So let's talk about the AIML, the Artificial Intelligence Markup Language. This is a real quick review. I'm not going to review all the tags we covered, just the basic tags. You start each one with the AIML tag. Does my cursor show up, guys?
Yes, it does.
Okay. You end with the end AIML tag. Your basic unit of knowledge is called the category. And a category is not a large number of things under one umbrella. It's one unit of knowledge. Okay, it's a little bit of a misnomer. And the category has a slash meaning end category. And inside the category, you have your input and your output. The input is called a pattern. The output is called a template. Why couldn't they call it input and output? I don't know. But that's what Mr. What's his face there? See, I'm too old.
Leveler.
To call these things. And the pattern could be as simple as how are you or any other phrase. And the template can be any reply you want. And you can have several inputs to several outputs, one to one, one to many, many to one, any combination. And that's your basic structure of AIML. Knowing this, just this, you can do a whole lot. You can build a Siri type of interface. Of course, getting it to turn your lights on and off is another problem, but just having it reply to you is easy. So the first tag we're going to talk about tonight is topic. Unlike category, topic defines a large scale topic. And topic is used a lot in AIML to track what the user is talking about with the bot. So we set the topic with this, and I'm going to show you a demo later. We set the, oops, go back. We set the topic with this tag here. You say set name, topic, dogs, and set. So now the topic will be retained as dogs forever. And that does something really magical. It limits the replies to anything within the files that's labeled inside the dogs topic. I'm going to show you how that works in a minute. I'll show you, I'll demo that in a minute. The next tag is called think. Now, when you store something using set name, it's going to verbalize, or if you don't have the audio turned on, it's going to type out the reply. If you don't want it to type out the reply, and I'll show you in a minute why you wouldn't want it to type out the reply, you use the think command with the set command. And you just enclose your set between the think tag. When I say command, I am meaning tag. These are officially called tags because this is a markup language. Went through these pretty fast. The third and last tag I'm going to tell you about, and this gives you not a complete list of all the tags. There's a few others that we're not going to go over, and that'll be another day or not. You can look it up yourself. Is condition. Condition acts like a switch statement. If you're a programmer and you're used to using switch statements, sometimes called case statements, it's similar. It acts the same as that. And again, we said it with condition name equals state, and the value of that state would be happy or something like that. And I'm going to demo each of those for you. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, and this is going quickly because there's a demo at the end, there's a couple different things, and that's all I'm going to do, is your settings file. A settings file is a place to put all of your basic information for your bot. We can store the name of the bot, the bot master. And the bot master means the programmer, essentially, the one who configured it. That would be me in my case. The location, where is the bot located? What gender? You can give the robot, the bot, the chatbot a gender. You can give it a birth date. Now keep in mind that it wants the year, day, and month, is it? No, year, month, and day, I think it is. I don't remember. I'd have to double check that. And a birthplace, along with 20 or 30 other facts to be stored. And you can change these to suit your needs. And I'm going to show you that in a minute too. Any questions so far? Okay, moving on. So a review of the basic AIML tags. We have AIML itself, category, we just talked about that. Pattern, that's your input. Template, that's your output. Random, you can pick from a random number of replies. List is a way to group those replies, just like a list in HTML. Star, that's for wildcards. Symbolic reduction, that allows you to have synonyms. Set, we just reviewed that. Get, we can get the value of any variable that we set. That is the thing that you just talked about. Topic, we just reviewed that. Think, we just reviewed that. Condition, we just reviewed that. That's it. Now, chatbots are best programmed, best designed, like a computer game, like chess or checkers or tic-tac-toe. You have one question that can lead to two answers, that can lead to two more answers, and then two more answers, or three, or four, or eight. And it just goes deeper and deeper. And how deep does it need to go? It needs to go as deep as you want it to be. And here's some decision trees from both tic-tac-toe and chess. And you can see the various decisions, the various possibilities as you go deeper and deeper. And you can see it can be as complicated as you want it to be. I mean, you create your own so-called rabbit holes here by going deeper and deeper into queries and responses. Okay, so now starts the demos. I'm going to be showing you how to establish a topic, how to set a user's name silently, how to create and use a condition statement. And after that, I'm going to show you the settings statement.
So Thomas, quickie question. Is there an editor, I think you mentioned this in one of your previous presentations about this, but an editor that actually fills in these various tedious tag syntaxes while you're composing things?
There is an editor, but it's lousy. Maybe you can build a better one.
Yeah, I'd get rid of all the tags and just make it simpler.
That's a great idea. I like that. You make it, I'll use it for sure. So let me load up the window to start share the rest of this, the demo. What's Tim doing? Hello, Tim. Lewis. Okay. Can you see my screen again? Anybody?
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
Good. Let me set this up. So this is ARC. I forget what ARC stands for. Somebody could look that up if you're really so curious. This is from Easy Robot. Which is now divided into Easy Robot and Cynthium. Okay, did you hear that?
Of course.
No, I didn't hear anything.
Not much.
You meant, did we hear?
Didn't hear anything.
Didn't hear anything. All right, let me see. Do I need to share the audio, set the audio up separately? Alan?
I am not sure. Let me see what happens when I click on share string. Was there an option to optimize for video when you?
It didn't give me an option for video.
When you hit the share a screen,
Let me try the stereo mix. Or the same as
Okay.
system? I could try same as system. Can you hear me?
Hello, everyone.
Did you hear her?
we heard that.
A little bit.
Faintly in the background, Thomas.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
That's
Oh,
cool.
I heard it that time.
Okay, good. It's gonna type out here everything it says.
Okay.
Not only is it faint, but it's kind of muffled as well.
It's probably listening from my microphone. I don't know. Let me try another variation of microphone here. It might cut me out is the problem.
Thomas, I think that qualifies you for It Worked at Home award.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, there you go.
Now we're talking.
She said, hello, everyone.
Much, much better.
Yes.
Oh, we can't hear you. No, we cannot.
Oh,
That's okay. She's got a much sweeter voice anyway.
So it's me or her, not both?
sorry.
Well, we hear you now.
I know, but it seems like I can't get both. Oh, well. All right, so let me move on. We move on. So when you open up the the ARC software, there's a folder and it has a long string on it. And that represents the plugin for this robot, for this instance. And inside of that plugin there's the AIML folder. And this is where all the AIML code is. And this is what I have here for Simone. I'm going to hide that for now. If I put it into this folder, it won't be seen. I'm going to drag out these class examples. And then I'm going to reset this so it reads the new data. So let's talk about the topic. Can you see this notepad very well? Can you see this document?
Yes.
Is it easy to read?
Depends on the magnification.
You want me to blow it up?
Yes.
Sure. But there's a zoom right there.
Can you deal with that?
That's better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the topic. Now, in the first category here, the input is let's talk about movies. The output is yes, and it sets the topic to movies and then replies, what kind of movies do you like? Now that the topic is set to movies, anything, when you ask a question, any input, it's going to look between here and here for the answer. And if it's not inside here, it won't answer it. So it's limiting the responses to everything that's inside from the word topic name equals movies to slash or end topic.
Would it make sense to insert an I don't know loop in there for those topics that for questions that's asked that's not in there?
You can make it anything you desire.
All right.
So Thomas, going back up a little to the category, you mentioned movies, and then there's a response with the template. Is there like a database of typical things that comes with this, or do you have to create each and every one of these things?
There's a very large database of plain vanilla stuff that comes with it. You will have to, if you pick up that database, you will have to spend many, many hours, huge amounts of hours, uncountable number of hours. So it works for you, your purposes.
Well, wait a second then. Is that database just a set of strings somewhere? I mean, you could basically catalog things pretty easily by writing a little program to do that, if the database is accessible in that way.
Is that the purpose of list?
The database is here. It's just flat files. It's text files. I have 47 here. That's more than the standard. The standard is like 25 or something, or 35. 26 plus all the numbers is something like that. You can get them in two flavors. One is in alphabetical order. One is by topic. I suggest you don't do what I did and did alphabetical order. You do by topic. That was something that I'm going to have to fix one of these days. Okay, you see all these files, Buzz? You want to take a look? We'll take a look at one of them.
Yeah, just pull up one just for sample, for fun.
For fun. Here, we're going to pull up this one for I. The first one is I star, which is the wild card. So anything that's not defined fully out is going to match with I, like I am green or something. I am under a block of wood. Anything it can't find a match for, it's going to be dumped here. And it's going to choose a random response from this list.
Can you grab your scroll bar on the right and just scroll up and down to see how large that file is?
Wow, it's huge.
This is only one part of it too. I broke this into two parts, two files. This is half. I asked for star. I asked. Yes, you asked would be the reply. I asked me first. That's not even good English. I asked you a question. reply. What was the question?
So now, were these files pretty much generated, or the 25 basic ones that you get with this, generated by others, and you've added that additional bunch then with all of these replies?
I added a bunch. That's right. But more than anything, I corrected a bunch. Some of them are downright wrong. There's mistakes, there's bugs, there's errors, there's things that don't work. There's more that are not applicable for a robot because it was meant to be an online entity. This thing would just answer like it was just sitting around on the internet browsing all day. That was the personality that it had. Here's one that you should like. I hate stress pills. If somebody says, one of the responses is take a stress pill. Now it says, if somebody replies, I hate stress pills, then the robot comes back and says, how do you usually relieve stress?
Yeah. It said, I hate talking to you, and then it said surf somewhere else. So yeah, like you just said, it was on the net, or on the web.
Yeah, and then there's characters that can't be pronounced, and you have to remove all those. As soon as I have something reasonable, I'm going to upload my version to the the repository I had. Okay, going back.
So how much time have you spent on this from the day you got it till now then in terms of modifications, corrections, and your own additions?
Rough estimates are hard to come by.
Right. That might incriminate him if he actually told you how long.
If I said at least 100 hours, I wouldn't be lying.
Well, that would not surprise me, by the way. And it would actually, I would estimate it would be a lot more than that.
There's 10,000 replies here, guys.
You've been doing this since you and I had, and Tober had that talk about chatbots, haven't you?
I've been working on it. This is a variation of the one I had for Betty 9. This is
Wow.
So yeah, I lost count of how many hours I put into this. Okay, let's keep going here.
Well, brief question though. When was Betty 9 born?
When was Betty 9 born? Oh, God. 2009, I think.
So you've been working on this for a mere 11 or 12 years? Is that the deal?
Yeah, I'm not constantly, obviously. All right, going right along here. So we set the topic to movies, and then the robot's going to ask, what kinds of movies do you like? And this is very simple. Of course, there's more than robot movies and horror movies. And by the way, this indicates a comment. If I reply robot movies, it says, excellent. I like robot movies too. They're my favorite. Horror movies, it says, well, I don't like horror movies at all. I get too scared and can't sleep. So let's try it out and see if it works. This may or may not work. I can type it in if it doesn't work. I'm going to switch the audio over. You'll hear her and not me. Actually, I'm going to try a different thing. I'm going to let it pick up from the microphone on the computer, see if that works. If it doesn't, just read the text. It's going to have the text right there in the top left. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
You may or may not be able to hear her. I'm going to delete this. Her replies will go here so you can see them.
Can you zoom the replies area a little bit?
Yeah.
No, not without, I'd have to shut off sharing. Yeah, okay, then I'll shut off sharing and try it again. Let's try that again. Is that better?
Yes.
Much better.
Yes.
Okay, here goes. Let us talk about movies.
Best movies. What kinds of movies do they like?
Robot movies. Robot movies. Robot movies.
Excellent. I like robot movies too. They are my favorite.
Horror movies. Horror movies.
Well, I don't like horror movies at all. I get too scared and can't sleep.
All right, could you hear that?
Yes.
Good. So you see how it works now. Any questions on this before we move on?
So you had to say, let's talk about movies. Would it be, if you wanted to also handle that as a different phrase, variations of that, let's talk about movies, is that with the wild card?
Variations on the same phrase or variations on movies?
No, I'm talking about the starting the switching the topic to movies. Like say you want to have 5 different phrases, or at least some wild card phrases. Like let's talk about movies, or what movies have you seen lately, or various things that mention movies, then that triggers the topic.
Yeah, you would have to use SRAI, the tag SRAI. And if you want to see a sample of that, when I put one window in front of the other, do you see a white box or do you see the other file?
No, we're not seeing it. We're just seeing the one you had up there with the speech, and it hasn't
Okay.
changed.
Let me find an SRAI here.
Because I think you focused the share on this, right?
Sure, let me switch it over. Okay, so here's the syntax. So when I say I accidentally did something, it's gonna send it to I something. Okay, it's gonna basically remove this text. If I say I adore something, it's gonna point it at I loved something. It's gonna save this word off, whatever you said here, according to this one, and it's gonna replace it here. It's gonna take I ain't, it's gonna translate it to I am not. So it's just, these are just basically pointers to another category.
Okay, but back to your.
And yes, you could do it for the topics. You could do, what kind of movies do you like? Tell me about the movies you like. How about movies? They could all point to the same topic, the same category, and have the same response. And that's what I do all the time.
So you could always do that set topic equals anywhere, right?
Yes, you can. And they do a lot. So let's move on. Any other questions about this?
Yeah, I had one.
Sure.
The SRAI is for starting and the start is for ending.
The syntax is SRAI is where we're going to point this category. So when you say I already told you, it's going to point it to I told you. So all this we get the same reply as this. So it's SRAI is the syntax, and then you have a /SRAI to end it. That's That's the syntax of this tag.
Then what's the star one?
That's a whole different topic that we covered last time. Contact me after the class and I can fill you in on that.
I think I'll be good, but you're saying they're separate, so.
Yeah, they're separate. It's a whole syntax and it's another 15 minutes to explain it.
Okay, cool.
So I don't want to keep this going all night. All right, moving right along. So the next one we're going to look at is think. And think probably came in as an afterthought because the robot or the replies were including storing the variables. And sometimes you don't want it to store the variables out loud, I mean. You want it to just store the variables and be done. So let's move over to that one. Okay, think. It stores the context. You set a variable, sometimes called predicates, without repeating it to the user. So call me means my name is, right? Call me Thomas. The template is hello. We're going to set the name, and then it's going to repeat my name back unless I use this category, I am. And then it's going to silence that because I put the think tag in there. Let's give a demo of that. I'm not going to switch it over. I'll just going to do it verbally. Call me Thomas.
Hello, Thomas.
Okay. Now, if we use the other one, I am Thomas.
Hello.
It doesn't repeat my name. And you'll find uses for that. Any questions?
That's cool. I like that.
All right, that's the end of think. Oh, and by the way, once it grabs my name, it remembers it. And listen to this. Who am I? Oh, it would if I had all the other files in there. That file's not in there, so it doesn't understand who am I. So we're going to talk about condition next. Let me share that screen. So similar to switch statements in most programming languages, it's going to respond to the matching input. So in this case, an insult sets the variable state, the variable called state, to smart or stupid. If I say you are, and we're going to put a wildcard in there, smart, it's now sets the state to smart, and it's going to come up with this answer here. And this category down here is going to decide. If I say smart, it's going to say, if whatever I say here, it's going to reply with, okay, no problem, coming right up. If I call it stupid, it'll now remember that I called it stupid forever, and I can set up conditions. So every time I ask it something, it can tell me something rude, because I was rude to it, her, if you might. So let's try that out. I'm going to switch the share again. You are smart.
I see.
Please get me some coffee.
Okay, no problem. Coming right up, the hot decaf latte, no foam. Right.
So now it's going to retain that I called it smart, and it's happy, so to speak. And now let's change it. You are stupid.
I see.
Please get me some coffee.
Go get it yourself. You mean Dirk.
So you can see that it's looking for the different state values here, whether it's stupid or smart. And this can be any number of them. All right, any questions before we move on?
Can you go back to the code for a second? It was the syntax threw me a little bit with the
Sure.
state in quotation marks.
Sure, I can share these files with you if you'd like. I'm going to share them all at one point.
I had a question. You have only smart or stupid, but is there a way to create like a gradient or words close to that?
You can do anything you please. It's programming. You can give
Right.
it a number from 1 to 10. You can give it A, B, and C.
Like you can create an array, right?
I don't think you can create an array in AIML.
Okay.
Not this version. The new version you might be able to, but I haven't started with the new version. All my stuff is in the old version, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I think a gradient might work for that one.
Probably.
So that syntax just says set the variable called state to star, whatever the person said. So, and then down below it says if state equals value equals stupid. So you have to put the variable in quotation marks, and then you have to put the word value after it if you want to read the value.
Yeah, that's the syntax.
Yeah, just you have to get used to that.
Yeah, that's the syntax. Yeah, you got to get used to it. That's true. That's very true. And after 10 years, I've gotten used to it. When you've done this for 10 years, Jim, you will have gotten used to it.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Hopefully in 10 years, somebody will develop something better. This is good, but there's so many improvements I can see.
It's not bad. It's just, yeah, it's you just kind of get your head around it and you're good.
Yeah, and his choice of words, his nomenclature is a little bit strange. So you just have to get used to it.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't seem like natural human language. It's like coding form of it.
Well, it is
like
coding.
coding.
I mean, it's an HTML too, so you have HTML or not HTML, but it's a markup language, an XML. So you have XML format to deal with. XML is very common in programming. So.
If you look at the page source or the source code view of a web page, you'll see a lot of this kind of coding in there. It's a tremendous amount of overhead for a small amount of information to be conveyed. And there are definitely better ways to deal with this kind of thing.
But I mean, the XML can be like this is someone defined an XML standard called this AIML, and they set it all up and set the various tags as it were, these tags. So as long as they're reasonably informative, then people will learn it and like it.
So Thomas, this is Abner. So I have a question. So aren't you responsible for the responses essentially? So isn't it whatever you choose to indicate the response might be? So, I mean, you can make it as erudite as you wish.
It's certainly up to you. And the the basics is this, that there are samples out there that have this thing, I won't say mostly built, I will say 10% built, because to build it up to something mostly is going to take a long time. And it deals with multiple sentences coming one right after the other. And I don't like the way it does that. And I'm going to change that. And it's, yes, anything you wanted to say, it can say. You can start from zero, but starting from zero, it may be your answer. If you want it to be more varied and be able to handle almost anything a user can throw at it, you probably don't want to start from zero.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, we're going to have a demo again. I just switched the code back to my Simone code, my Simone files, and with just a short demo. A lot of you have seen this demo, so I won't do it very long. This is for those who haven't. This is after configuring and programming it for about 3 months. Let me turn up my volume. I was trying to turn up the volume on the computer even louder. Alan, is there an easy way to boost the volume?
Not that I'm aware of.
Alan, you got to boost your volume.
What? Can't hear me?
Oh, I think, let's see.
Oh dear.
Oh, there, I shut you off. Sorry. Go ahead, Alan, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Is there an easy way to boost the volume on my computer?
Might be microphone input, but I remember someone tried that and it like just changed it based on, I mean, like it took over and changed it based on the loudness. Like it was auto. You couldn't turn it to auto off, but your luck may vary.
Yeah, I'm trying to boost it, and I don't see any. It used to have a boost, and I just don't see a boost
There's
anymore.
something under advanced. Oh, you mean like a boost button?
Yeah, I don't see boost. This version of Windows doesn't have a boost.
There was a way to try to change the input volume, but that, yeah, it wouldn't stick.
Yeah, I guess without running it through an amplifier, we're just going to have to deal with it this way. Okay, so I'm going to ask it a few questions, a few questions. If you have some questions you would like to ask her, I can repeat them because she could probably hear you. Does anybody want to ask Simone some questions?
Sure.
I do.
All right, who's first?
Go ahead. Go ahead, whoever it was.
No, you go ahead. You go.
Okay.
When I hit the unpause button, go ahead and say it. It probably will hear you. If it doesn't, I'll repeat your question.
Sure.
Hey, Thomas, did you still want to be sharing your screen?
Am I not sharing my screen? Wrong.
You're sharing your screen, but we're looking at code.
Sorry, wrong screen. Is that better?
Yeah.
See that? Do you still want to be sharing your screen? She heard it. So she didn't have an answer for that. So she's going to change the subject. You see that? That's coded in there.
So since everybody's fighting for who goes first, I'll just go ahead and ask Simone, what's her justification for existence?
We don't have an answer for that, but you know, that's a great question. Okay, since everybody wants to ask questions, why don't you all put your name in the chat and I will go through down the list. Put your name and your question in the chat.
Sure. Here we go.
Okay, if everyone would be quiet first, and I'm gonna let Buzz have his question first. Are you ready, Buzz? Are you ready, Buzz?
You want it in the chat box?
Buzz, just do yours verbally. Everybody else in the chat box.
So, Simone, what
Not
is
yet,
your...
not yet, not yet. Wait till I hit the pause button here.
Okay, Simone, what is your justification for existence?
I see. That seems like quite a lot that interesting. Do you pray?
Okay, didn't get it. Well, I'll repeat it. Can everyone please turn off their microphones?
Sure.
Thank you. What is your justification for existence?
Are you asking about my justification for existence?
Yes.
I don't want to talk about that now.
There you go.
I like it. That's a catch.
What a cop out, gee.
Yeah.
It's a catch-all there that if you look, I bet if you look that one up.
Okay, I'm gonna just read them since that'll be easier. Camp is next. What's it like to be a robot?
Much the same as being a human, except with gears.
I like that.
Good.
Next is Jim. If everyone just please mute your microphones at this point. Do you have any hobbies?
I like robotics, computers, and technology.
There you go, Jim.
Yep, that's a good one.
Can you teach me to code?
You could write a whole essay on the question.
I suppose they could, Avner. Okay, Britt is next. What did you do today?
A stranger, I like to chat with people. What do you do?
Okay, it's calling me stranger because I didn't introduce myself to her. My name is Thomas.
That's a very nice name, Thomas.
What did you do today?
Thomas, I like to chat with people. What do you do?
Okay, you notice it picked it up as what do you do, not what did you do. And that would be something I'd have to code in there because not all the questions I wanted to respond to are in the files.
Yeah, I was gonna, not to be a downer, but it really doesn't understand what you're saying. It's essentially a parrot program. A parrot with substitution, basically. It doesn't know how to break down the language into fundamental concepts. But
Yeah, that's why I was talking about that gradient where it takes a word and finds that similar ones to replace it with to kind of match something. A lot of, yeah.
It does that with SRAI. Symbolic reduction.
Yeah.
And, there's a name for this kind of AI, and it is a form of AI. It is artificial intelligence. And gosh, I can't remember what they called it. It's in the Elements of AI book I read. I'll have to look that up after.
Well, this is very much like the original ELIZA program that was done by Weizenbaum way back in the 60s, I believe it was. And it picks up on keywords and then responds. So to address Jim's comment and question, this is very much not like human dialogue. In order to do that kind of thing, there's a whole deal about natural language processing, which is still not able to replicate human dialogue as naturally as we can speak, and when we change subjects in the middle of a sentence and be able to address those kinds of things. This type of engine or mechanism for picking out keywords and then responding is very simplistic, reasonably effective when you have directed dialogue that you need to do. For instance, if you call a utility company and they go through that telephone tree, that telephone tree that asks you what would you like to, who would you like to me to connect you to, all that kind of stuff. This type of language is good for that type of thing. But to have a natural dialogue like we're doing back and forth here, natural language processing has a long way to go to deal with that.
And in
Yeah,
some ways, this is ahead of that. This is ahead of that just because it can do what natural language processing can't, just by blunt force, I'd say.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's almost like an image, like a raster or a version of like an actual picture. You're painting all of the queries and the responses yourself, so you're getting there's no logic there. It's brute force, but that it can be effective.
And that's been used for games all the time, like chess. Chess is brute force. It runs through every possibility and gives it numerical probabilities of which is the best move.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm thinking about what can I use this for in my projects on a robot. I think it still would be very good in order to take my command, figure out what command I'm giving the robot with slight variations. I don't need a full natural language processing, but I need like several variations, so I don't have to because right now I'm coding in literal, is the person saying this, quote, quote, and what if he changes one word, it doesn't work.
And this helps with that a lot, Jim. And not only that, you can run servos and read from within this software. You can run servos and read sensors.
Right, that's part of the easy robot in a world.
It's got a lot of capabilities. We're not going to talk about that tonight. I want to hit the next few questions that came through before we go any further, just to get that done. Oh, and just to Buzz, you were absolutely right. This is specifically based on ELIZA. He used the ELIZA code as a starting place. I read that. Okay, moving on. Please, again, shut off your microphones. I'm going to ask her some more questions. We're going to get to, what was the last one? What did you do today? That would be Tej or Tig. Is that how you pronounce it? What is your favorite book?
The best book one read recently was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Have you read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams? Interesting.
Okay. That was because I hit the pause button in the middle of it and it picked up itself. Next question. Who is your favorite author?
Interesting, but let's change the subject. Please ask me another question. My favorite author is Douglas Adams. Now you are very polite. Where do you live?
Okay, you see it's having all sorts of errors because I hit this pause button in the middle of when it was talking. And so it keeps listening to itself and answering its own questions. It's two different systems. The speech recognition and the speech synthesis are two different systems. One is the speech recognition is coming from Bing, and the synthesis is coming from Cepstral. Two different companies, two different pieces of software.
So basically what it was doing is it's having a conversation with itself?
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yes, talking to itself like you and I do sometimes. All right. Let's move on. Next question. Oh, okay. Well, favorite author, yeah, the same as the favorite book. That's not surprising. What am I thinking? Let's try that one. What am I thinking?
I am not a clairvoyant.
Good response. Y'all have a great weekend. No, that's not it. Next, goodbye, Mr. Uzan. Let's see. Yeah, Mitsuku is like this too. The Mitsuku AI chatbot is very similar to this. It uses similar code. GPT-3, I'm not impressed.
But yeah, oh, really? But
Oh, I'm not impressed. It's no.
not brute force though. It's like it's that AI. It's a learned models, right, from millions of text.
Yeah, it's not
It's one
impressive.
of those. It's a neural network, isn't it?
I'd have to revisit that to give you an honest answer. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, we got another question. How do you feel about the sport boxing?
Interesting. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
In other words, it has no response for that and just grabbed a random statement. And as for Jarvis, no, she doesn't know who Jarvis is because I've never programmed it in. And Jarvis is, I didn't even know who Jarvis was until about a month ago when I started watching, what was that? WandaVision.
WandaVision.
Just started watching that. So anytime we ask a question that she doesn't have an answer to, there's a long list of responses that she gives back. Sometimes she questions your question with another question to keep the conversation going. The software is all geared to keeping the conversation going. All right, anything else before I end off here?
Yeah, I do have another question.
Sure.
Can you program it to take words from the internet? Like, I mean, can you program it to take info from the internet?
Technically, yeah, but not out of the box. Now, if you go to Pandora bots, you can create your own bot. And then you can let anybody use it. And you can record their replies and add that to your database.
I think I mean like if you ask it a question, can it search the internet?
It does have that capability. I am not using that. Any other questions? Cool, she says. Yeah, all right, cool.
So Thomas, I just have a general comment to everybody, including yourself, which you will appreciate. All of this kind of dialoguing stuff falls within the realm of things that are inherently interesting to me. But I've identified essentially what the three main components of a dialoguing system are. You've got speech recognition, to be able to communicate or listen to what humans have to say. You've got the natural language processing aspect, which is the middle piece that takes the output from your voice or speech recognition and then processes that with all the cognitive stuff that we do. And then from there, it outputs to a speech synthesizer the response dialogue, which then you can tweak and do all kinds of things with. Out of all three of those, the speech recognition is the most difficult part. The natural language processing in the center is almost equally difficult, and the speech synthesis part is the easiest of them all to do. So that's kind of a model that I use in order to focus my attention on trying to solve various problems with getting to the point of having truly natural language processing dialoguing systems.
And speech synthesis, although it's still crude, is being improved, and there will be further products out there. I've seen some samples of really good speech synthesizers that are not available to the public, general public out there. And go ahead.
Do they include intonation, emotion, and all that other kind of stuff, the kind of things that we normally do relative to the context of our moods, our anxieties, our states, our enthusiasms, all that kind of stuff?
No. You can program it in with this ARC software. You can program that in, but it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Not-
that's part.
Not commercially.
That's part of the stuff that I'm spending time focusing on in my spare time.
Yeah, nobody has it commercially. If it's available, if somebody's done it, they haven't published it that I know about. I mean, anything's possible, but I don't know about it.
But
What you're
are
kind of
doing-
saying is that personality has to come from the person writing the code, right?
Yeah. It's not. There's no magic behind this. It's all hard work.
Britt, that goes for any kind of programming. It comes from the programmer, whatever their personality and focus is.
Now, you can get various personalities. You can find them online. I know of at least 4 of them you can download for free and choose from those and clean it up. This is your basic Alice I started with. Alice comes from Pandora Bots, Richard Wallace, as I recall. So there's variations on this, or you can start from scratch, or you can take one that exists and augment it and make it what you want it to be.
I was going to say there are some pretty good speech realistic human speech synthesizers, but with some degree of controls. Alan demonstrated that on our, using a powerful GPU on his machine, and it took a little bit of time, but it produced human quality speech, but kind of in a neutral mood generally. But it had some abilities, right, Alan, to change a little bit.
Did you have to program it line by line, or did you say just be happy or something like that? Say it happy or say it sad.
Alan, did it have any? It had some intonation capability, right?
Yeah, it was a neural network based text to speech system that was programmed or learned based on a single voice. And there was a parameter that you could tweak. It had learned to infer the amount of emotion or the intonation of a statement. And even though it took on my box about, I don't know, I remember a second or two to generate, the speech was very realistic.
Yeah, you can do that with this out of the box with Prosities, it's called. Prosities is a phonetics algorithm of sorts. And I did a demo on that last year. So it's pretty cool. But if you got something better, Alan, I want to see it.
Yeah, phoneme-based synthesizers are the ones that actually you can tweak in many, many different ways. That would be a potentially great application for doing neural network, fuzzy logic combinations, possibly even genetic algorithms added in order to more naturally synthesize speech. So these phoneme generators are pretty good at that type of stuff. I tinkered around with some of those early ones, the SC-01 chip. We have that on, I have that on the RB5X robot, and I had one with the TI-99-4A, and also on the Hero 1 robot. And you can tinker and customize your phonemes to sound much more natural. You can even create foreign languages and all kinds of stuff when you're doing phoneme work. So that's, having that basic capacity to try your creativeness when it comes to speech synthesis is a very important tool, in my opinion.
That's right. And, we're going to move on. I'm going to end this off. Thank you very much for listening to my lecture here. Since we're winding down the hours here, what time do we officially go to? Guys?
7:30, right?
7:30. Okay, so we're going to try to squeeze in some show and tells. Who has show and tell?
I had one.
Okay, anybody have Jim, yours are usually long. Anybody have a short show and tell?
I mean, I'll use whatever it's pretty quick.
Is it,
I have a real short one, Thomas.
okay, let's put the short ones through and then, okay, Camp, you always have a show and tell. You're like me.
Well, so we talked before about voice recognition, or whatever. I ordered a simple voice recognition board. I just got it in the other day. Haven't done much with it, but this is basically what it looks like. It can be taught to accept about 80 different commands, train it to your voice. So I've done much with it. Yeah, I just got it in the mail just the other day.
Well, that's cool. It's a hardware accelerator.
Yeah, it's hardware thing. It's I2C. So it's pretty cool. I haven't done anything with it yet, but I will. When I get it going, I'll do a demo on it or something. Okay. That's it.
All right, let's see. We got Camp and
I heard somebody chuckle when WandaVision was mentioned. Was that funny to them or something?
I don't remember. Let's move on. We have Camp and we have Jim. Jim, why don't you go and then Camp?
All right. Let me close this. So I would do a quick demo of this, the second Slamtech product I bought, which is the Slamtech Mapper. And if you can see here, I'll just rotate it. It's a LiDAR on top here with a belt-driven LiDAR. And
Am I missing something? I don't see the screen.
Why? I see his screen. How come his Alan? Why isn't his screen being highlighted?
Can you hear me? Oh, that.
No, there we go.
Yeah,
There he goes.
yeah, it should be. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
so yeah. So this so I was what I was saying is it also has the circuitry and electronics to do the mapping. So it's a LiDAR system, the circuitry and board, a microcontroller, and maybe even beyond that. It might even have a Linux system in it that takes internet and it can produce a map and you plug it into your PC. And now I'll share the screen here. And it's very fast. So this is sort of a better version of what I have on my robot. I have something similar in the Slamtech robot that in my orange robot there that was built from the Slamtech SDP Mini. Well, this thing is a lot cheaper than that. SDP Mini was like $500. This is $250. I got it for $200 at the time. It was on sale. So, all right. Do you see my? Do you see the Robo Studio app now?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's this thing does a lot of stuff. It can do a whole map, and oh, I'm not going to be able to do it, am I? I should have. Unfortunately, I'll have to switch. Well, let me just show you what it maps very quickly. Maybe I'll do a better yeah, because a demonstration later. Because unfortunately, I can't. If I switch the internet on this laptop, I have to. Well, I have two systems going here. Let me see if I can. Well, it's probably going to take me too much time. Anyway, but if I load. I didn't think. Basically, you connect to it via the internet or via Ethernet, and then you can through this Robo Studio app, you'll be able to edit them. You'll be able to see the map as it's being formed and everything. And there's an API. You can access it via code as well. So if I get this to, I can show you the map I made earlier. Um, yeah. It also works outside, which is an interesting, which is a better development. So it's very fast. Oh, it's not responding. It's very fast. I can walk around the house and it's extremely, it's like mapping the house really quickly. And you can see it filling in the map. And then what's also, you can use it as a LiDAR directly, and it's ROS compatible. So you could put this in a robot and it has all the ROS connection, publishes information on the map and the LiDAR. You can use it as a LiDAR directly. So if you just want the LiDAR data. But anyway, I thought at the time, this is a cool base for a robot for the mapping portion. All right, here, let me show you the map. I can load now. Let's see, house. So if you can see, do you see this? Yeah, you can see it. So this is a map of my house, and the part where my cursor is, that's outdoors now. This is indoors here, the lower part. The upper part and around to the right side, that's all outdoors. And the walls, and this is glass where you see the LiDAR going through, that's all glass, or that was a glass thing. But you can take it in your hand and walk around with your laptop or maybe even an iPhone, and you don't even have to hold it level, and it will create this map in just almost as fast as you can, just a slow walk, but so it's pretty cool.
Are you using ROS to make that map, Jim?
No, I'm not using ROS yet on this. This is a software that the Slamtech company provides for you to experiment and manipulate the data.
It looks like ROS G mapping.
Yeah, well, it's very similar. I mean, it's just with their Slamtech, their own API. I assume that they provide an API through Slamtech, and then a ROS API as well, ROS subscriptions and publishing, channels, or I forget what you call it. And so it can handle both, and it works under Windows. There's a Windows SDK and a Linux SDK, as well as the ROS implementation. In fact, my robot, the orange robot, also, that whole Slamtech Mini has a ROS implementation. I'm going to try to use that. Anyway, all right, that's enough for me. So, but yeah, these things are, I don't know, it's pretty cool that it's got an IMU on it, so you can be walking around with it and it's still creating this nice map, even though you're tilting the LiDAR. I don't know how it does that. Pretty neat. And it runs in low power, so it doesn't draw much. It's just on a USB right now.
That's really cool, Jim. I like, how much was it?
It's 250. Well, what this is their old model, and it's kind of been discontinued, but you can still find them because the new professional model, it's called the Slamtech Mapper, and this is the M1 M1. There's an M1 M2, which is fancy, nicer looking and doesn't have this belt, and it's $1,000, over $1,000, like 1,100. And this is still 250.
Didn't Dr. Bruce spend 2,000 on his at one point?
Well, just the Slamtech thing that Dr. Bruce and I got was the SDP Mini, and that was $500. And that
I mean, a couple years, I mean, like 8 years ago or something.
Oh, you mean when he bought something?
For Leaf, his first Leaf.
For Leaf, that's before I knew. So yeah, I'm sure you're right. But anyway, this thing, yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm gonna see what happens. Put it in another robot at some point. Anyway, thank you.
All right, thank you, Jim. All right, who's up next? Camp, are you there, Camp? Oh, there you are. You got two windows. I was looking at the wrong one.
I am here. I have 3 demos. I'll try and keep it within 10 minutes.
Sounds good, Camp. You're up.
By the way, the HBRC 18th Annual Challenge Meeting Phase 1 is last Wednesday of the month. That'll be March the 31st. Everybody's invited. It's all show and tell meeting. Heavy on the show, light on the tell. First, I'd like to show TableBot Phase 1. TableBot is done in 3 phases. Phase 1 is to go from one end of the table to the other and back. Phase 2 is to push a block off the edge of the table. And Phase 3 is to push a block into a shoebox mounted at the end of the table. I'm going to use my cell phone here. And can you see the little robot? You see the little robot on the table? Anyways, I'm going to switch him on now, and he'll go from one end of the table to the other and back. Nothing up my sleeve. You see the little robot?
Yeah, we can see it. You have two.
Okay. So that's phase 1. Let me load in the phase 2 code real fast. Again, phase 2 is to I'm going to wrangle this robot. And phase 2 is to push a block off of the edge of the table. I've done nothing up my sleeve. Vertical block, because a square block, especially if you're using ultrasonics, spangs off one side and it doesn't detect. So bear with me here. Let me get the robot. Load my phase 2 code. This is Arduino based. It's 2 servos, and I've got ultrasonic drop sensors. Again, all right. I've just got done loading in. Let's see here. I've just got to, because I'm loading in the phase 2 code. So here it goes. Can you see it? Phase 2 code. This is Arduino based. I've just got done. Loading in Gotta not get the right code. Hang on a second. Still under 2 minutes. Let's see here. Let's see here. 14. Try that. Okay, one more time. Okay, can you see the robot?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I definitely have the wrong code, and my time's up on this one, so I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. Let's move on to my next demo. And here I need to share my screen. And this is ROS2 BotVac. I'll share the GitHub. Here you can see, maybe you can. I'm trying to show it on my my phone. Let's get the video going here. Oh, I'm sharing my screen, and on the let's see, on the phone, can you see the BotVac there? Or is it just a picture of me?
We're looking at RViz.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen there, but on my phone, let's get the video going here. Start video. Switch it around. Okay, now you can see my face. Let's switch it around. And there you see the bot vac, right?
Yeah.
Can you see the bot vac on the video screen?
Yeah, we see.
I've logged into the two computers, a smartphone and a computer. Anyways, there's a bot vac there. And the LiDAR in this bot vac is much like the LiDAR that Jim was showing earlier. Here you see it spinning around. It's a two-dimensional LiDAR. I think it has the same specs as that one. Spins at 5 hertz, takes 360. Anyways, so here you see my RViz being shared on the screen. Try to get this on here. And where's the robot? Okay, there's the robot. And so I'm going to teleop keyboard and drive the robot around. You can see it creating the map. This uses the SLAM toolbox. And I'm using RViz 2 also. You see it creating the map. So I've just driven out of the flex room and into the kitchen here. I'm going to map the kitchen. I'm at 5 minutes and 49 seconds, so I'm going to try to keep this within 10 minutes. So here we go, mapping the kitchen. And before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm going to do a little navigation. This nav2 is pretty cool because with ROS1, mapping and navigation are like two different worlds where you create a map and save it, you kill the G mapping, load in the navigation stack, and anytime you get into unknown space, you're lost. Here, again, it's simultaneously mapping and navigation. So I've clicked on the 2D nav goal tool and point, press, drag mouse up, and you'll see the robot autonomously navigates to that spot. Nothing up my sleeve. And this is a bot vac. Meetup bot vac has a USB port in the dirt bin, and I've got a Raspberry Pi 4 in there with Ubuntu 2004 and the ROS 2 pack. It's part of a SV ROS, Intro to ROS, that was ROS 1, and Jim Nugent and I are working on getting this over to ROS 2. By the way, join the Homebrew Robotics Club mailing list. There's also a ROS 2 meetup on Wednesdays. So there you see me mapped to the other side of the room. I'm at 5 minutes. So I'm going to drive the robot around here a little bit. Are you not entertained?
It's very cool.
I am very much entertained.
So here I'm going to drive into a space that I'm not even looking at, okay? I'm driving by looking at the map. Now, granted, I know the... Oh, stop. Okay, so... There's the hallway. I'm going to navigate there. Again, I'm not looking at it. Nothing up my sleeve. Let me make it a little larger so I can know more better where I am. The bedroom door is closed there. Do a 360 or a 180, I should say. So you see the walls and so forth, and the blue areas, that's the inflation area. That's the robot is careful when it gets close to that. You can control that by the parameters. So here I get to the corner, some bookshelves there.
Hey Camp.
Are you not entertained?
It's definitely good.
So here I'm going to drive into a space that, now granted, I know so I'm not looking at it, nothing up my sleeve. Let me know more better where I am. The bedroom door is closed there.
This is all ROS 2?
Yes, the inflation areas, careful when you control that by the, some bookshelves there. And all three-dimensional and so forth. Yes, I'm porting it over to ROS and that kind of thing.
Is there a way to add like objects to this to know where these obstacles are?
Well, right now I'm traveling in unknown space, so it is mapping. Once it's been in this space, and I'll demonstrate, I can autonomously navigate. Again, I'm clicking the navigation to goal here, and I'm pointing and pressing and dragging and mouse up, and you'll see the robot navigate. It's going to go. It's not going to go. It should navigate that space and end up in that pose. So your question is, can you find objects and tell about objects and so on and so forth? Is that your question?
Map it too, like put like dots on it, labels.
Well, this is a two-dimensional LiDAR. It's like a bird's eye view from 4 inches high. Let's look. See here, you see the LiDAR scans, and it's two-dimensional. But if you put a Kinect or a Intel RealSense camera on there, you'd get 3D imagery. And in any of this stuff, it's not a matter of what's possible; it's a matter of what's practical. So. And again, ROS2, NAV2 in particular, is more powerful than the original. The original navigation was called MoveBase, and it basically just navigated the robot, and so it just navigated the robot from one place to another. With ROS2, it's more flexible. It's more flexible in that you can set waypoints and you can have it do particular actions at each waypoint. So, if you had, the 3D camera, you could tell it that, okay, this is a chair, this is a table, this is the cabinet, that something is kept on, and, and it, like be aware of that, if you will. So here you see I've closed the loop. We've created a complete map of the house. And even though my navigation seems to have gone kaflooey, click, point, press, drag, mouse up.
And the update's being done by radio?
The Raspberry Pi is on Wi-Fi, and the teleop is basically ROS, as you may know, is basically a messaging system, and so I'm publishing with the teleop keyboard, and the BotVac package is subscribing to that message, and so here's an example. And you can see the similarity, those of you who are familiar with ROS, with the ROS2 commands. It's ROS2 node list. These are the nodes that are currently running.
Hey Camp, if you have a project that's due in a few months, and would you try to use ROS2? Okay, it depends on your approach. If you want to learn ROS and there's something out there that's done up with ROS1, use it, okay? If you're trying to do a new package, a new thing, you might start off with ROS2. ROS2 is getting good now. It's in the 6th iteration, okay? So it's still prototypey as hell, more prototypey than ROS1. But again, if you're trying to come up to speed with ROS, you've already got something, use that. And then, because here, ROS2 topic list, for example, these ROS2 commands, command line, are very similar to the ROS1. And so, use something that's known, tried, and true, and then you can move into ROS2. But again, if you're trying to build something from scratch, I think ROS2 is getting pretty good, and it's a good time to get into it. So here's what I wanted to demonstrate is, so these are the topics, and I want to say ROS2 topic
echo slash command velocity. So here you'll actually see the message inside the topic being published. So I'll go back to my Teleop Twist keyboard, which is my publisher. And again, the robot out here is subscribing to the command velocity message. So when I press I, you see the X linear has 0.5. Then I'll do the Y, the reverse, and it's negative 0.5. And then when I L for clockwise or J for counterclockwise, you see the angular velocity message. But the point here is that with the Teleop Twist I'm publishing, the robot with the pi inside is subscribing to that topic, and you can actually see the message inside of the topic with the command topic echo, so you can see the message coming through. The commands for ROS2 are very similar to ROS1, and I'll share the GitHub for the SVROS. I'll share the GitHub for the Intro to ROS package, which I think BotVac's a great trainer. Go to the ROS tutorials. They do the same thing with the SimTurtle, where you're publishing with the keyboard and you're seeing the messages with the simulated turtle on the screen, and then you parlay that simulated turtle into a physical robot using the BotVac, which is a robot vacuum cleaner, of course. But it just happens to have a micro USB port, and you can command it to move the wheels and read the LiDAR scans. Mike Ferguson back in 2010 made a neato package and applied it to the BotVac. In 2014, Ralph Knock did launch files, which allows you to launch multiple nodes in parallel, and he also created the URDF, the little model that you see there. And again, now James Ferguson and I are in the process of moving this stuff over to ROS2. So I'll share those GitHubs.
What's
My watch is talking to me.
Hey Camp, what is the base cost of the Neato rig?
BotVacs, you can buy used BotVacs on eBay for $200. Let's see. Let me find those web pages.
Well, what brand is that?
Ross. Neato. Neato BotVac.
Oh, I have one of those.
It didn't Dr. Ruth Neato too.
I also have lots of Roombas. Too bad they don't work with Roombas.
Yeah, I have.
Well, I've got the Create also, and there's stuff to do with the Create. The thing about the Create though, and the iRobot is that they use binaries to drive it around with. So you have to start off with, you have to have a library. With a BotVac, you can plug into it and get your parameters, communication parameters right. And with just a terminal program like Minicom, you can type in commands, set motor, L wheel dist 1000, R wheel dist 1000, speed 100, press enter, and you can start driving it around. So it's easier. Of course, everybody prefers what they're familiar with, but to me, it's easier across the board. Not to mention, this is a good project because there's stuff in here that's available. The bump sensor, there's an accelerometer, there's stuff in here, that all we're doing right now is driving around and using the LiDAR. So I've just shared in the GitHub the Intro to ROS package. This is the ROS1 version of this. And if you're interested and not familiar with ROS, I would recommend starting with this one. And then I'll give you the GitHub for the ROS2 package, which is a
Thank you, Cam.
You're very welcome. Thank you. This is fun.
You got more? Or is that it? I know you got more. You always have more.
Don't tempt me. Go ahead.
We're going to meet in 2 weeks again. Please join us. That will be an all all demos, all show and tells. Okay, anybody else? No, wait. Give me a hand, come on, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's great. I
Almost
gotta,
forgot. All right, guys, ladies, anybody else for a show and tell? Anybody want to talk about what they're making?
I could say what I've been looking at. I kind of am looking at those 3D printers where I'm trying to figure out like the recyclable plastic because there was this article talking about like molding versus 3D printing because I guess with recycled plastic you can like mold it. So I was kind of wondering what everyone's thoughts were on it, like what material, because they said the filament
Hey,
is like
Britt,
already recycled.
Britt,
Yeah.
this is the show and tell part. Can you hold that off to later in the meeting? Could you ask that again?
Sure.
Because I want to conclude the show and tell. Anybody else with show and tell? Going once, going twice. Walter, nothing for Walter? No, not today. All right. All right, that's it. Please, Britt, we're going to have open forum. Let me officially, this is the end of the meeting. This is the official end of the meeting because the meeting's ended at 7:30. If you want to hang out, it's open forum until Alan logs off. Alan, what time are you going to log off?
Oh, I can actually leave this running and not have to close it out. I'll just stop the recording since we're now in kind of an open